Hello everybody, welcome back along. Second video of the day here. More football news as it comes, more reason to chat and debate and discuss in the comments. A few new lines, a couple of interesting takes on the current situation and some interesting behaviours as well. We've been speaking for the past couple of days about neutral venues. First of all, the bottom six were against them, and that was, holding up the negotiations. And then after yesterday's Premier League meeting, well, nobody was against them. Well, today somebody is against them, and that is Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, who has, through a spokesperson, come out and said, with the country still in the grips of this crisis and hundreds of people dying every day, he believes that it's too early to be discussing the resumption of the Premier League and top flight sport in the capital. Sadiq, of course, wants the Premier League to return, but it can only happen when it is safe to do so. And it cannot place any extra burden on the NHS and emergency vehicles. We got this argument a lot at the start of the pandemic. What about the NHS? What about if paramedics have to be there and ambulances? And are you pulling people away? That seems to be a reasonable position. We're hearing that the NHS has not been overwhelmed at any point in this pandemic, which is great, and that they do have extra capacity now. Whether it's safe to use that to service football matches or not remains to be seen. I think I know where Mr. Khan is coming from. He's obviously got to take this kind of wide world view in his position as Mayor of London. The line I have an issue with is when it's safe to do so, and I'm hearing a lot of this 100% safe and when it's safe to do so through the pandemic. There's not going to be an alarm go off of right, everything's now safe, and we also hear a lot of until we get a vaccine. So when it's safe to do so is very open-ended. So bit of a kind of safe political statement from Khan, but I guess you can't argue with the issue about the NHS being short-handed by anything like this. I don't know what the numbers would be in London on a particular day, but something that I guess needs to come into some consideration when they are having the final discussions about if Project Restart happens, where games will be played, and can they get them played at clubs' home grounds. Danny Rose. Danny Rose has amused me today. Wouldn't it be amusing if all footballers spoke in their real voices rather than using media speak? Well, Danny Rose has done just that. I think England caps, hasn't he? Danny Rose on loan from Spurs up at Newcastle. Rose has come out, and I won't use the full language because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. The government is saying we are bringing football back because it is going to boost the nation's morale. I don't give an F about the nation's morale. People's lives are at risk. Football shouldn't even be spoken about coming back until the numbers have dropped massively. It's bollocks. We'll see. I'm supposed to be tested on Friday, so we will just have to wait and see. I know where he's coming from. I don't think the government, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think the government said that the only reason to bring football back would be to give the nation's morale a boost. I think they may have said something like, if football come back, that would be a boost to the nation's morale. So again, I'd have to check the wording of what was actually said, but hey, it wouldn't be the first time in this pandemic that the powers that be had maybe just misworded something ever so slightly. Look, obviously footballers should not be returned before things are safe to do so, and they certainly shouldn't be put into an overtly unsafe situation. But he and Todd Cantwell tweeting yesterday, we are just people. They do need to understand when they're making the statements, which they're entitled to do, freedom of speech and all that, that There are other people who, given the choice, would like to have this stance, would like to say, well, I'm independently wealthy and I will not be going back to work until it's safe to do so, especially when the industry that these people are working in is awash with money. I understand that that doesn't make you immune to a virus, but it certainly gives you better facilities and better access to protection and safety than, well, we can name any of 1,000 jobs, can't we? I mean, yes, we do want footballers to be safe, but I would say just be a little bit careful from the lofty perch as a Premier League footballer, because I think, like for example, if you spoke about a bus driver who, right from the word go, has had to work through, and he can't afford to say I'm not going to work because he needs the money, and other people in his household might have been out of work and furloughed, and food needs to be put on the table. So yes, we want footballers to return in safe conditions. Everybody wants to return in safe conditions. How many people are going to return in safe conditions? Not many at all. Everybody is taking a risk, and I do think footballers need to understand that when they put these statements out, that yes, we want them to be safe, but this is not ideal, and other people are making great sacrifices with far less choices to go out and go to work. Obviously, the argument being that they would be in essential positions of work, and is football essential? Well, no, of course it's not, but you know, most of us have contracts with our employers, and you know, for us to fulfill them, we want to be safe, but we then have a choice to make, don't we? Yeah, I guess I see where Rose is coming from, but maybe a little bit less aggressive on the language, and some awareness of what other people in society are doing wouldn't go amiss there. Anyway, get your thoughts in. Mixed messages from the Premier League players today. And look, I love football players. They entertain me. I admire them. I respect them. I'm not having a pop at players. But our next story is we're going from a player who is wondering whether it's safe to return to training in a very controlled environment, to another Premier League player who thinks it's safe to go to a house party at the weekend. So little bit of unfortunate mixed messaging for Danny Rose's point of view there. This is Morgan Gibbs-White, who has joined the illustrious list of football players, Jack Grealish, Kyle Walker, Moise Keane, etc., to join the naughty step on breaking the lockdown rules. So Morgan Gibbs-White, who's England under-21 international, plays for Wolves, pictured on Snapchat, I think it was, maybe Instagram, I don't know which one it was, fact check me on that, at a party in London with lots of his friends and some Love Island contestants as well. The post has since been taken down. Wolves say they are aware of it and will deal with the breach of lockdown internally. My empathetic side says, yes, look, it's hard. It's tricky doing this. It's been weeks and weeks and weeks now. It's difficult. And also my empathetic side says, when I was 20, I did many, many dumb things, and my view of the world isn't maybe what it is now. However, I wasn't a recognisable professional footballer. I just don't understand how these people let these things get out on Twitter or Snapchat or whatever it was. Although I guess if someone sticks the camera up at you and films you, then you don't have control over that, but you do have control over whether you break the lockdown rules or not. Probably no need for, we'll no doubt get the outrage mob that we do in 2020 on Twitter, wanting him to be hung, drawn, quartered, deplatformed, never to earn a penny again, and needs to walk through the streets in sackcloth to be publicly shamed. But that's probably not necessary. I'm sure it'll be a slap on the wrist from Wolves and pouring water on it. I just guess that when you've got Danny Rose on the one hand saying, you know, it's bollocks and we need to be safe, and then you've got one of his colleagues that, you know, it's a tricky time with mixed messages like that. So yeah, get your thoughts in on what should Wolves do from Morgan Gibbs-White's point of view. Finally, My best mate Simon Jordan has been on TalkSport again this morning talking about the Championship financial position. Talks a great deal of sense, I have to say. And he echoed something I said a week or two ago, that the pandemic might actually prove to be the strongest bargaining position that the EFL have had in a long while, in that they've got Rick Parry in now, who is a new guy in a new position, new broom, etc. And with this kind of stop and a chance for a reset, maybe, if everything's ticking along as normal, it's very easy for the Premier League to push the EFL away on some important issues. So maybe now is the time. Jordan says Parry has the ability to do it in terms of improving the Championship position. It involves better negotiation, better distribution of money, removal of solidarity and parachute payments, and a more equitable distribution. And I totally agree. People are probably sick to the back teeth. Is that the right cliche of me talking about parachute payments? But it is important. I cover the Championship, and it is just a millstone around the neck of the division. I said as much in my interview with Kieran Maguire, which Simon Jordan did take umbrage with on Twitter, but it was more about the position on salary cap. Hopefully he understands that I agree with him totally on this one. I actually laid out a way of, if you want to go back and check that video out on the channel, without the Premier League spending another pound, completely redistributing all the solidarity payments so they're much more even and you get a much better spread, which would then hopefully work its way through the divisions of money, rather than this issue where pick two teams together, Leeds at the top of the Championship, £4 million solidarity, West Brom next one down, they'll be on, what are they on, year 2 of parachutes, 35 million. So there's your ridiculous disparity that we need to stop. Kieran Maguire's contention with my issue was that although in a nice socialist fair way that would work out well, you'd essentially be asking for Premier League clubs who would be receiving the parachute payments to vote themselves to have less money when they came down, which they're obviously not going to do. Which is why I agree with Simon Jordan that now is probably the time where maybe Rick Parry's got a bit more muscle and he can push that through more evenly. Let me know what you think in the comments as to whether you think he can do that. So, second video of the day. Get involved with the first one. Lots of good stuff to chatter about at the moment. So I need your thoughts on the Sadiq Khan angle on neutral grounds and London stadiums, and is it a pull that the NHS can't cope with now if they go back closer to capacity? Danny Rose and his love of the morale of the nation, and his view that players shouldn't go back until it's absolutely safe and numbers are greatly decreased, I think he said. Morgan Gibbs-White and his partying, and complete contradiction of Danny Rose's point of view there. And Simon Jordan on Rick Parry's ability to make a better deal for the Championship and stop this crazy cliff edge, or at least make it more of a hill than a cliff edge between the Premier League and the Championship. Let me know what you think of all of those things in the comments. As I've said, I've been doing this a few days now. My normal output is the Championship reviews and previews and features and things of that nature, and going to games. But I've been doing these news videos a few days. The numbers have been very good. We've got some new subscribers, so I will continue to do so. Don't worry, the championship stuff will not be dropped. But obviously, all we're talking about at the moment is restarting, cancellations, points per game, league tables, and sadly that all goes back to whatever the Premier League managed to do, if they get to do anything. I think it was Mike Keegan from one of the newspapers said someone told him at the start of this that the Premier League will have to go through the motions and be seen to be trying to get things restarted, and in the end it'll all come to nothing because it's impossible. I hope that's not the case, but a bit of an ominous tweet from that point of view as well. Anyway, I've really enjoyed doing this. I'm going to keep it up while I'm still in lockdown, although that may change on June the 1st. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts on the videos and the subjects down in the comments. If you're a new subscriber, welcome along. Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.